What's up, boys? Welcome to episode 2 of Creating My Dream Life. This is going to be another talking only video. And today I wanted to touch on 2 topics that I worked on throughout my day. It's now 5 p.m., so I'm done with my work day and I'm going to go practice some golf and get to the gym. So move on to the physical part of my day. But I built a schedule on Google Calendars today. That's been a big goal of mine for a long time, to start putting some structure and routine in my life. So I want to talk about structure, routine, time blocking your days, and like planning the night before or on Sunday for the entire week, what you're going to do with your time, and then relentlessly sticking to that. So you have like a framework and a filter to block out all the distractions and just literally play defense on everything and just matumbo that shit out of your life that doesn't belong there, like Snapchat and just carrying on meaningless conversations with people throughout the day that are not really relevant to the business you're trying to do, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going to be a big topic. And then also working with mentors, signing up for coaches, courses, reading books, listening to podcasts, like learning, finding ways to just absorb information in a practical application way and immediately going and putting it into practice in your life so that you can hyperspeed the process of getting better at the things you want to get better at. So what that looks like for me right now is today I actually just purchased a monthly subscription to be a part of Hamza's online learning academy called the Adonis Academy, which I'm so freaking excited about. I can't even tell you guys how quickly I was ready to throw what little money I have at that, because I just already know I'm going to come back with 10x, 50x, even 100x ROI on that investment in terms of value I get out of not only just the brotherhood and the connection with Hamza, because it's a very exclusive, like small group of only like 200 guys right now. And just to put it in perspective, he has 2 million YouTube subscribers. So the opportunity to like jump into a really, really tight knit closed circle where we get to have 3 calls a week with him and ask very specific questions about building a brand and our own health. It's going to be centered around health, wealth, and relationships. And you guys might have heard me talking about that lately. That's something that I'm those 3 buckets are the main areas I'm trying to place my focus in life right now. So couldn't be more directly relatable. That it sounds like he and I are probably reading some of the same books and listening to some of the same people, because our brains are thinking the same way about where we're trying to place our attention and where we want to grow in life. So he's just someone I have deep admiration for. And then also Dan Coe. This is not quite as recent. This was back in December, but I found his YouTube channel, started learning so much from him about developing a one-person business model where your content was basically all about your passions and curiosities. And it basically, he just came onto my YouTube page with like 9,000 subscribers and some very long form, like 45-minute video that was hyper specific to a relatable problem in my life. And he was offering a solution to it. And I was like, wow, this is somebody that's like a carbon copy of me. And I've had a hard time throughout my life finding people that I felt like I really related to and connected with and understood. They understood me and vice versa on a deep level. So when those little like unicorn experiences pop up throughout my life, my like enthusiasm just goes through the roof, because I've spent most of my life just kind of on my own, really not feeling like there were too many other people out there that spoke the same language as me. I felt very crazy for a lot of the ideas I've had. So anyway, Hamza and Dan Coe have been 2 of the loudest voices impacting my life. Hamza for a little bit longer than Dan Coe, but Hamza never really had courses to offer until just recently that I was aware of. So I pounced at that opportunity, and then I've been in a Dan Coe course for a couple months now. And it's just been so hugely valuable. And that might have not made that much sense to you guys, but the point of it was that I'm just such a huge proponent of signing up and investing in yourself. I think Hamza just referenced Alex Hormozi, who's another guy I'm a big fan of, successful entrepreneur and businessman. And now he's blowing up on YouTube and social media everywhere, sharing ridiculously valuable tips for free. He mentioned that Hormozi had advice for like younger kids that are starting to pay attention to investment accounts, people telling them about trading and crypto and stuff, and everyone's telling kids like, oh, invest in this. And he was like, it's bad advice when you've only got a small amount of money. It's not going to do anything for you unless we're talking about you having some serious wealth. And the people watching those kind of videos definitely don't typically have that much wealth. And Hormozi was saying like, forget about the S&P 500. It's all about the S and me 500, which obviously little corny, whatever, but you get the point. It's all about investing in yourself, especially in the early stages. And I used to be much more trigger shy about this, feeling like, God, I just don't have that much money to play with. Like, shouldn't I be thinking more about like a down payment on a house or whatever? And it's like, I genuinely believe I've found some of the most valuable voices in the world for me, and it's taken me almost a decade to get here. I've been very intentional about my conversations in the real world, friendships in the real world, and then more recently online, sharing who I am on a deep, deep level, making these hour-long videos and spending 5 hours writing a text thread post for Instagram. And I'm like really putting out more and more and more of my unique interests and curiosities, in spite of getting feedback from more mainstream industry related people that like, you need to pick a niche, right? You need to be this kind of a creator or that kind of a creator, or maybe you can pick 2 or 3 and combine them. But I'm doing this kind of on my own, but seeing success from people like Hamza and Dan Coe that basically look like a mirror to me. I look at those guys and I'm like, wow, this is exactly the direction I'm trying to go in my life. I want to be essentially a teacher and have my own online school at first, and then in the future it'll be some in-person opportunities as well. But it's like the school of Alex Romo, sharing my life experience and the things that I'm enthusiastically learning about, and just can't put the book down, can't turn the podcast off, like can't hang up the phone from the conversation I'm having with the person. Like there's so many things that I have this childlike enthusiasm for in life, and a lot of them are related to health, wealth, and relationships. And that just automatically qualifies me to be a good teacher, because I'm going to constantly be evolving and learning about these things, and I can always help those a couple steps behind me get to where I currently am, and then I keep evolving and progressing and bring them with me, and that feels great. That's the type of stuff that gets me the most excited in life. And so I'm just trying to be a part of the ecosystem the best way I know how, which is learning from those a couple steps ahead of me. And I think right now the best way to do that is to invest whenever there's opportunities to work more closely with people that you really admire and look up to, that directly relate to your life. Jump on it. So I've done that today, and in case you can't tell, I'm like super jacked up and excited about it. And then the time blocking thing I wanted to talk about as well. So last night was Sunday, and I put a lot of effort into, like, I've always had a schedule in my iPhone notes. I actually have like 2,500 iPhone notes, and they're not small. They're like multi-page documents. And that's where I like, journal and write down anytime something from a book or a conversation seems like relevant to save for later. It's a log of thoughts and ideas and business plans and advice on all areas of life from all the different experiences I've had over the course of like 8 years. It's very hectic and chaotic and all over the place, but I've had a schedule within there, and it's just been more comfortable for me to kind of run my life through the format that I was comfortable with. But I think this was Dan Coe actually, or maybe Hamza, I forget. One of them recommended literally just using a Google Calendar, which I'm sure if you have like a traditional job, a lot of you guys probably don't have a choice and you do use some type of scheduling software for appointments. But you have to understand, my life is pretty different, being like a one-person business and not having anybody that I co-work with and have to share documents with or anything. It's just basically all me communicating with myself to create this content and whatnot. So I've been able to get away with it for a while in my own way, but yesterday I built out this Google Calendar, and the goal of it is to, man, I find myself not loving the direction of this video. It feels a little too, like I personally feel shaky. It's 5 p.m. and I've only had one meal all day, and it was a smoothie at that, so it's fairly minimal. When I'm doing a lot of computer work, I prefer to be fasted or have like a minimal amount of food in my stomach so I don't waste all my energy digesting and feeling tired. But now trying to record, I find myself like kind of like high pitched and shaky with my voice. But I don't think I'm gonna bail on this video. Already too far in, and the point is not to be perfect with these. The point is just to genuinely thought dump what I'm doing each day to create my dream life, and the things that I'm excited about learning, the things that I'm experimenting with in my own life, the results that I'm getting or not getting. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So I find like the the business side of me understanding like, this video is probably going to do shit because it's just too all over the place, and your audience still is like not on YouTube yet, so this is not going to appeal to some random people that it pops up on their explore page. This would only appeal to like your core deep audience, and none of them have transferred from Instagram to YouTube. So all that's going through the back of my mind as I'm trying to convey this point to you guys about the timetable thing. And I just got this sense of like, dude, just bail, quit. But I'm trying to get less perfectionistic and quicker and more efficient with my time. I really only had 20 minutes blocked to record this video, and so I'm not going to do it again. So bear with me for all that, but at the same time, it's kind of valuable and cool, I think, for you guys to see the inner workings of a mind trying to figure out how to build his dream life. This is like literally the essence of this series. It's not about a perfect trajectory to health, wealth, and relationship success. It's about the up and down and left and right and all over the place path. So to get back to closing that point on timetables, I basically, what I learned is, and I already had a sense of this, but it really made it clear because on Google Calendars, it just like puts a little grayed out block over, like, let's say, I'm trying to create 4-hour workday structure in my life where I do 4 hours of deep work in the mornings related to writing content and like the vision of how I'm bridging the gap between just being a short form content creator to a more long form content creator to actually having coaching and courses and an academy, and then in the future an entire mastery facility to work with people in person. It's like this is my life's work, and so to do that deep work, it requires my utmost attention. And so I put like a 4-hour time block each morning to do things related to that, and then move on in the afternoon to more physical, less brainy stuff like workouts and golf practice and the lower priority tasks for where I currently am in life. And this will change over time. But as I'm writing this in the Google Calendar, I realized very quickly how if I am gonna try to have 9 hours laying in bed every night to get, roughly 7.5 to 8 hours, because it takes you a while to fall asleep and then you're awake throughout the night, even though you're not aware of it a number of times. So your actual sleep log is usually like 90 minutes less than the amount of time you laid in bed. So if I'm gonna retain that goal of 9 hours in bed every night, that means I have 15 hours to work with each day. And I just started realizing how much I was trying to plug into my days and my weeks, and how it's just simply impossible. I'm trying to do work that would require 2 or 3 people to do routinely, and that's part of why I'm just in this constant state of stress and overwhelm. Is it's like I work my ass off. I really do every day. I rarely take a day off when I'm in this, work bubble like I've been for the last month or so. And it's always unsatisfying. I never ever feel like, oh, I finished my to-do list today. And I think that part of it was just the simple exercise of like applying it in a visual way on a calendar, rather than, because I just take notes on these things. I'm like, oh, from 2 to 3 do this, 3 to 4 do that. It just didn't quite have the same effect of making it really conceptual for me to see like, oh wow, this is just simply too many things. You have to make choices about which goals are the most important, which habits are the most important. And so now I get to start the refinement process and the iteration process on trying to build out, my ideal daily routine. That's something that I think has made my life harder than it needs to be. Humans are structured creatures, right? We do best if we can go to bed and wake up at the same time, if we can eat our meals at the same time, and would do best if we ate the same meals every day. It's like our body and mind craves routine, and we want, our brains are always searching for pattern recognition and the way to make our daily tasks as efficient and quick and pain-free as possible. And somebody like myself who has my whole last decade has been about pursuing pro golf, and so there's always like random golf tournaments on random days of the week. There's no structure to the timing of a golf tournament. Sometimes you play in the morning, sometimes you play in the afternoon. They're all over the world, so there's all this travel component to it. And then I've been relentless on my pursuit of physical fitness, so I've never been willing to like, oh, I'll train in the off season, but then when I'm competing at golf, I'm not going to work out. It's like I'm always making sure I work out, but there's never an ability to make myself work out at the same time every day, because it's like, well, today I'm going to have a tournament, so I got to work out after the tournament, so I can't be a morning workout guy. And then trying to do content, it's imperative, especially now, that you post like every single day on every single platform, because so many other people are that realize the opportunity of the internet and how great of a chance it is to build a personal brand and truly impact the world on a global scale. The competition is so fierce now that that's a bare minimum requirement to post every day. And I find myself, wanting to do that at the same time, but I can't because of all these other obligations. And I'm sure I'm not unique. There's a lot of people that probably struggle to build routine in their lives as well. But the one thing that most people have going for them that's a different thing for me would be having an actual boss and a job, whether it's a physical workplace or just a work from home job. Most people do have a solid 8 to 10 hours a day that are non-negotiable, and then they have it's almost a simplifying thing, because it's like, well, I really don't have that much other time in the day, so I can plug in gym either before or after work if I care about that, and I can plug in like either hobbies and enjoyable things or side business work, and that's about it. But anyway, my life has not been that way, and so I've always just had to make do as best as I could by making sense out of the chaos. Been a very hectic lifestyle, and I've kind of just white knuckled and willpowered my way to where I currently am. But I think it's been a tremendous waste of energy and effort and time to do it, this way. And moving forward, again, once I'm actively competing in a bunch of golf tournaments, I just simply don't have that much choice. But for right now, which is kind of like a building 2 or 3 months before the summer when I anticipate playing more, I think it's possible to start building a bit more of a structured routine each day and at least do some things the same every day. And so today was like one of my first attempts at doing that. And it was awesome. I decided no cell phone at all until like 1 p.m. So I'm just doing like the first third or half of my day with no texting, no checking on social media. It's totally an addiction, especially when your life is centered around like how responsive can you be to comments and DMs and texts. It's all about relationships for me and making sure that I'm communicating with a lot of people on a daily basis. And it does, teach you to split your attention, which makes it very hard to do deep work if I'm constantly just interrupting a task that I deemed as top priority to make sure that I get back to someone on Instagram or make sure that I get back to this person that needs that from me. And so I'm trying to really reevaluate and realize like, hey, 99% of things can wait. It doesn't need to interrupt your most peak primed brain power in the morning, which I'm like developing the night before, right? I have a bedtime alarm the same time I have a morning alarm. So the night before I start planning for success for the following day. And then I wake up to an alarm. I go get immediate sunlight. I drink water and electrolytes. I take a cold shower. I meditate. I write 3 things I'm grateful for, make a cup of coffee, sit down, prime to work, put in my noise canceling headphones. And if I'm putting in all this effort to be crystal clear mentally so that I can keep working on this vision of my life and actually make progress, because it's a very hard thing to do, to build this type of dream life where you achieve not only success but also fulfillment and have an impact in the world in health, wealth, and relationship areas. It's like everyone wants this, very few people do it. So knowing that and knowing how hard it's going to be, I simply can't afford to do what the average person does, which is wake up, scroll on their phone for a few minutes, start replying to a couple things, which it's never just that, right? It's never like, oh, I'll just reply to a few of these things. It's because then what was 4 messages is going to multiply into 16 in a second when everyone starts getting back to you. And then you're in the middle of all these different conversations. It's like, I've seen it play out so many times, and I know that the majority of those things are very low ROI tasks, and it may seem urgent, or the people-pleasing tendency in you may make you think like, oh, gotta be on it, get back to everyone within an hour. And it's like, nope, look where it's got you. Maybe you've kept a lot of people happy and whatever, but like, are you happy? Have you succeeded at the things you've wanted to accomplish? No. And what do you have to blame for that? The fact that you've been, unwilling and unable to make the sacrifices necessary to go a different way and ignore what most people consider to be normal, which is, time wasting, succumbing to cheap dopamine and distraction and temptation on a daily, sometimes hourly basis, and not even thinking twice about it, but then wondering why life never really evolves in the direction you want it to evolve in. And there's always this underlying sense of like frustration and lack and knowing that you have more potential, but also having shame and guilt because you know that you have no one to blame but yourself for not self-educating and then applying that knowledge to go this different route. So anyway, get a Google Calendar, write down the probably 3 or 4 most important goals and priorities in your life, and then know that everything else is noise and distraction, and try to find ways to remove everything. And it's going to be tough, not going to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but that's been huge for me right now, and I'm excited about that. And then learning from mentors and finding ways to get past just like consuming, endless content and always nodding your head and being like, yeah, wow, that's a great idea. Awesome, cool. And it gives you a sense of like accomplishment just to simply be listening to more high level content that's education based rather than just like some entertainment podcast or some sports news podcast or some comedy, stand-up comedy. And no shade on any of these things, they all have their place. I love to check out sometimes too and just do something completely mindless. You can't be on 24/7, but if you're not where you want to be in life, these are things you need to be looking at, and just taking full accountability and responsibility for the things that you can control and change and doing that. And so listening to educational content is great, but it's meaningless if you don't put it into action in your life. And so yeah, note taking on it is definitely step one. That's better than simply listening, turning off the podcast and going on with your life and forgetting whatever it was talking about an hour later. Note taking is great, but I've even been stuck in that realm for a couple years. And at some point it's just information overload and overwhelm where it's like, God, I don't really get a chance to ever reread these things because each day YouTube and Instagram and all these different platforms are serving me so many more seemingly groundbreaking, stimulating pieces of content and new accounts that I've never heard of doing new things. And I gotta watch this thing and that thing now. And it's like, you never get a chance to go back to any of the notes you took. So it's still kind of this like procrastination, like you feel productive, but you're really not moving the needle on the big things in life. And I think that the answer to that is these courses and like personal connection whenever possible with the people you're trying to learn from. I just did this with Light Watkins, the meditation teacher in LA a couple weeks ago. And I would say it's no surprise why I've had 2 just epic weeks since then. I was so charged up to spend time with Light in person Saturday and Sunday during this meditation workshop to actually learn from him. It got me more excited about meditation than ever before and having a deeper understanding of what the benefits of it can be if you commit to it for a lifelong practice. And that would have never happened if I just continued reading his email newsletter every day and watching his videos. This just took it to a whole nother level. And I had to pay for that. It's not cheap, as it shouldn't be, because these are people that have devoted their lives to becoming very valuable and experimenting with things, learning things, packaging it up into a digestible way for an audience so that they can learn quicker. So they deserve all the money that they charge for these types of things. And so that was awesome. And that kind of snowballed into me jumping on this opportunity to get into Hamza's Adonis Academy. I can't wait to see what that's all about, but I already know without a doubt after watching so many of Hamza's videos and learning so much from him that it's going to be an awesome experience to be personally connected with him and ask questions pertaining to my YouTube account and building my personal brand, and then about my health and relationships and about monetizing things. It's just going to be awesome to connect with him and a small group of other like-minded guys. And I've already been getting that experience from the Danco course. And again, none of these things have been cheap, especially not even being in a position where I'm, wealthy by any means yet. But to me, it's like a total no-brainer to jump on the opportunities to learn from the people that are directly teaching things that are what you want to do in life. So I'll cap it at that for now. Hopefully there was something of value in there, but even if not, I'm proud of myself for just committing to making one of these videos every day. I'm sure they will build upon one another and hopefully get more valuable in time. If you guys have any questions, let me know. DM me on Instagram at AlexRomoGolf. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see tomorrow's video. Leave a comment if you got ideas for what I should talk about. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.